Hi, everyone. I'm Professor Davis. My pronouns are they, them, and I want to make a short video to answer some of the questions that I've been getting about Essay 2 and English 101, where you create your own futurism, jumping off from Afrofuturism as a model. One of the questions I get is what should be the focus of the body paragraphs, paragraph 3, 4, and 5, and does it need to be science fiction or mythology? No, it does not need to be science fiction or mythology. What you're looking for are innovative people or institutions like a society that made an impact on the future of whoever the group it is that you're focusing on. So if your focus is nursing futurism, you would look for historical figures, people throughout history who have made a positive impact on the nursing profession or on nurses in general, either by creating a new technique for improving care for nurses, or by setting a positive example and being a kind of, what do I call that? Having a kind of empowering visibility, someone that nurses can look at who's famous and say, look, I'm like that person. That makes me feel more confident about myself as a nurse, etc. And so when you're looking for examples to focus on in the body paragraphs, the historical lineage, the older stuff, you can look for historical figures and historical innovators in whatever your futurism is. So if I Google historical innovators in nursing, I see a bunch of examples here. Elizabeth Kinney, I don't know who that is. That's interesting. And then I'll take that to Wikipedia is a fine source of information for essay 2. Boom. Okay. Gives us information that we can use in a paper. And so we could write about Elizabeth Kinney as either part of the historical lineage or an elder of nursing futurism. We would use this source. What's important is that when you're presenting your examples like this information about Elizabeth Kinney, that you use in-text citations to give credit to your sources. Otherwise, you might be plagiarizing. You will be plagiarizing. And so make sure to say, according to Wikipedia, Elizabeth Kinney, whatever. If we have quotation marks, that means that it's a direct quote from Wikipedia. If you don't have quotation marks, you're just using the information, it means you're using your own words. So make sure to review the materials that I provided on in-text citations and quoting. Another question is like, what makes each person a futurist? Like, how do they have a positive impact on the future? I kind of already covered that, but I'll cover it again more clearly. A way to write about how the figures that you find from history, and then you need one that's a contemporary, somebody who's currently alive, maybe younger, who's innovating, who is improving your field for the group that you're organizing your futurism around. So 2 ways that, at least, that your sources can have an impact, a positive impact on the future. One is direct impact. So if we think of Florence Nightingale for nursing futurism, she created new techniques and new theories, like ideas, that improved the care that nurses give to their patients. So that's clearly, she's a futurist in the sense that she positively impacted the career of nursing, but also the patients. But the main thing is the career of nursing by inventing new techniques that nurses use today and ideas for care. Historical figures and societies, like institutions, can also have a positive impact on the future. Someone can be a futurist merely by existing, and so in an indirect way, merely by existing, they can have an indirect empowering visibility. Like that means, so if we were writing about a queer futurism and we discovered, like we look at research and we double check our research, we discover that Leonardo da Vinci was gay. So he would belong in queer futurism. Now, did his art impact queer people? Probably not. His writing, not really. But the fact that looking back at Leonardo da Vinci, he's almost like a hero in an adventure, the adventure of life, right? Who queer people can look back at, I'm queer, we can look back at and say, that's cool. I bet most people didn't know that this very famous genius was also queer. So by being a representative, a positive representative for queer people, that inspires like more confidence, maybe even inspires us to be better. That can also be a way that somebody impacts the future in an indirect way. Another thing I wanted to address is, what do you write in paragraph 2? You have a template already that you can use in, I want to say it's workshop 4 or 5, the one that's an outline. When I give the example, it's something like NB futurism draws its roots in Afrofuturism or from Afrofuturism. Everyone can borrow that template, that formula for the topic sentence, inserting your futurism at the beginning. But the goal of paragraph 2 is to give credit and respect, to pay homage to Afrofuturism, and then to draw attention to at least one difference and one similarity between the two futurisms, your futurism and Afrofuturism. So after the topic sentence, you might say, in contrast to Afrofuturism, which an important part of which is to bring together the African diaspora, the people who've been spread out from the around the world from Africa originally. In contrast to the importance of a diaspora in Afrofuturism, nursing futurism focuses on a professional group that does not have a diaspora. Then you want to draw attention to a similarity, maybe one or two similarities and differences. At the same time, however, nursing futurism shares with Afrofuturism a focus on a group of people that do not ordinarily, who are not ordinarily the center of attention in history or science fiction, nurses. So in that way, both are similar. So paragraph 2, the work of that paragraph is to pay respect and say your futurism is jumping off of Afrofuturism. This is where we got the idea of it. And then to draw attention between the differences and the similarities between your futurism and Afrofuturism. The introduction is the same model as essay 1, except with your topic. Make sure to provide background information. If you need to define any terms, like there's a caregiver futurism that's really cool. If you need to define what a caregiver is, you do that in the introduction. But an introduction begins with a genuinely interesting hook that focuses my interest and attention on your topic. There's 15 ways to introduce your paper. You can go back and review that resource. Then that transitions into background information, where you're giving like examples or definitions of, like, if necessary, you don't need to define what a nurse is, but caregiver, you might need to define that, background information, and then your thesis. Your thesis is a definition of your futurism that has a term, general category, and distinguishing attributes, like the first essay when we defined Afrofuturism. Similarly, like I've already provided resources on how to write a conclusion, and you wrote a conclusion with kind of instructions for essay 1 in one of the workshops. So, or discussions. And so I'll just remind you that in the conclusion, this is a short essay. You do not need to summarize what you already said. Instead, draw attention to the importance of your futurism in the real world, ending with a final thought that wraps everything up. The last thing I want to say is to remind you to provide in-text citations to your sources of information, like Wikipedia or wherever you get your information. Put quotation marks around direct quotes in order to avoid plagiarism. And then if you have any further questions, send me a message in Canvas and I'll do my best to answer. Good luck.